Now I've kind of given up.
It's no secret that Gabrielle Union and Dwyane Wade have one of the most enviable marriages in Hollywood right now. But the truth is, it hasn't always been this way for the love-struck couple. It may not be so obvious right now, but they've had to deal with a lot to get to where they are right now. No one would have ever imagined what they had to endure in a million years. It might be hard to believe, but Gabrielle and Dwyane weren't always as close as they are right now. And it definitely wasn't love at first sight for either of them. When they first met each other in 2007 while co-hosting a sponsored Super Bowl party, Gabrielle and Dwyane's lives couldn't have been any more different. They both hung around completely different circles, and Dwyane was still married to his ex-wife, Siobhan Funches. Not to mention the fact that they both have a very obvious age gap between them. For months after Gabrielle and Dwyane met for the first time, he filed for a divorce from his ex-wife, Siobhan, and I guess you can say this is where it all started. Now, even though Gabrielle and Dwyane had obviously nothing to do with each other, that didn't stop rumors about them being in a relationship from swirling around. Neither of them actually confirmed or denied the rumors, and that was why they kept on getting crazier with each passing day. Although Dwyane and Gabrielle started dating 2 years after they had met in 2009, they didn't actually go public with their relationship until 2010. At that time, they decided to go public. Dwyane and Gabrielle might have appeared like they were having the time of their lives with each other, but that was very far from the case. Behind the scenes, they were still dealing with Dwyane's divorce battle with Siobhan, and it only kept on getting nastier. Not only was Dwyane dealing with a really bitter custody and divorce battle, but Gabrielle also got roped into it. Dwyane's ex-wife Siobhan had filed a lawsuit against both Dwyane and Gabrielle, claiming that they were both involved in participating in inappropriate activities in front of her and Dwyane's children. And like that wasn't enough, she also sued Gabrielle for emotional distress. But as quickly as the case against Gabrielle was raised, it also got dropped just as fast. In Gabrielle's words, since her life was just so easy to track, she began submitting evidence to prove that Siobhan wasn't being honest. At the end of the day, it all worked in her favor and the case was dismissed. Now, even though Dwyane had successfully won the custody battle for his children and finalized his divorce from Siobhan, what he and Gabrielle didn't know was that the worst was yet to come. After almost 4 years of being in a relationship, Dwyane and Gabrielle broke up. According to Gabrielle, the reason why they decided to break up was because of how overwhelming and crazy their work schedules had gotten. They barely had time for themselves or even their relationship, so they decided to call it quits. What neither of them knew was that this period where they decided to break up would prove to be a defining moment in their relationship today, and it would also prove to be their worst nightmare. During their brief breakup, Dwyane revealed that he conceived his son Xavier with Asia Matoyer, and this broke Gabrielle. Gabrielle revealed that they weren't really in a good place when this had happened in their relationship, but they were in a much better one when Dwyane had to tell her what had happened. However, their being in a good place didn't change how betrayed Gabrielle had felt. And for Dwyane, he described telling Gabrielle what he had done as the hardest thing he ever had to do in his life. Now, even though Gabrielle and Dwyane chose to work through their issues privately, that didn't stop what happened from taking a huge toll on Gabrielle. For years after this had happened, Gabrielle had struggled with the trauma and embarrassment it brought because she couldn't get pregnant. According to her, to say that she was devastated was a huge understatement. For her, the experience of seeing Dwyane have a child with another woman didn't just break her soul, it shattered it into dust. Ultimately, Dwyane and Gabrielle got back together because Gabrielle chose to forgive and love Dwyane because every day he worked to be forgiven. Even though Gabrielle made the decision to stick with Dwyane through thick and thin, she doubts that she would have made the exact same choice today. According to her, the advice she'd give to herself today would be to leave Dwyane and not stay with him. But in her words, would she really be the person she is today without the pain? Gabrielle had chosen to stay with Dwyane and fight for the relationship, but what she didn't know was that her problems were far from over. Her inability to have children plagued her for years, and what made it even worse was the fact that no doctor could actually understand what was wrong with her. And being in the limelight didn't help her to cope with this either, because for her, all the pain and struggles were reduced to just one sentence. Every article she read about herself used the same phrase that she'd offered time and time again. and that was that. She had lost about 8 or 9 pregnancies, closely followed up by her age. This was a really painful time for Gabrielle because not only did the media place so much emphasis on her age, her doctors did too. Apparently, they couldn't figure out what exactly was wrong with her. She was an older woman in her 40s. After a long wait, Gabrielle was finally able to find out what her problem was. In 2016, she was diagnosed with a case of endometriosis, which likely started when she was in her 20s. For Gabrielle, her diagnosis was the closure that she didn't know she needed. It gave her clarity and relief, and at the same time, it also gave her grief. This was because she had seen some of the world's best specialists, and all they ever saw was her age and nothing more. 2 years after Gabrielle had gotten her diagnosis, she and Dwyane welcomed their miracle baby Kavya through surrogacy. The reason why it took this long was that it took Gabrielle over a year to come to terms with her reality. For her, surrogacy felt like she was accepting her body's failure, and it was very hard for her to deal with. Nonetheless, since Kavya's birth, this feeling has long been replaced with gratitude for Gabrielle. But the fact still remains that Gabrielle has this lingering question after going through all that she had gone to. She still wonders what if Kavya would love her more if only she had carried her herself. This is a question I honestly don't think anyone would be able to answer. Despite this lingering question, Gabrielle and Dwyane have, against all odds, come out on top. In 2020, they both made Time Magazine Most Influential People for their support of the LGBTQ+ community and their parent and constant support of their daughter, Zaya. Looking back at where they started and all they had to go through, no one would have expected them to endure all they had to, especially with the spotlight that was always on them. I guess that's what really makes them different. Do you guys think so? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.